Hey guys, welcome to Brasswood to Virginia. The purpose of this video is to show you how to assemble the brass components on our iron bed 152 or Excelsior. You'll notice all the components are located along the top of the bed. They consist of horizontal bars, flat washers, spiders, threaded rods, fancy caps, cannonballs, tinks, and finally swirl balls. The first step is to install the spiders in the side posts. Drive them in as shown on all four posts. Next come the tinks. The seam goes on the bottom and the rounded smooth side goes toward the top. Slide them over the tink rods on the top horizontal of both the head and the foot as shown here. Next it's time to pre-assemble the top brass horizontal bar by installing the washers over the threaded rod and then inserting them into the fancy cap as shown here. Pull the threaded rod down until it just clears the washers and then insert the fancy cap over the horizontal bar, line it up with a hole and push the threaded rod through as shown here. Do the same on the other end. Once you've completed this, hold both rods so they can't slide out, pick it up together, and beginning with one corner post, thread the threaded rod into the spider. Then proceed to thread the other one in, as shown here, and fit the rod down over the tink rods. Thread these rods in about half their length. Next, thread on the swirl balls on the tink rods. Once that's accomplished, we use a modified battery terminal pliers with the teeth ground off smooth to tighten the swirl balls. In this case, because the swirl balls are painted, we wrap them with masking tape to protect the paint. But if you have a brass, polished brass or raw brass, you won't need to worry about this. Tighten the swirl balls just until the tink no longer turns. That's all that's required. Once the tink is tight, you can stop and then remove your masking tape. Finally, you can thread on your cannonballs. Hold the threaded rod so that it doesn't thread down further into the spider, but threads up into the cannonball, and then you can tighten it up securely. Now what if you have a 152 Excelsior bed with a 3-piece cannonball? If you have a cannonball that needs repair, this is what we recommend. To begin with, we would encourage you to loosen or completely remove the good cannonball on your footboard, but do not remove the threaded rod in it. And to keep any chance from that cap from coming off while you're working on the other end, we recommend putting one of the swirl balls on it to keep it from coming off. Make sure that all of your swirl balls above each of your 3 tinks on the brass bar are removed. At this point, you're ready to start assembling the other cannonball and cap. Take your fancy cap, shown here, the washer shown here, and your threaded rod. Insert the washers over the threaded rod. Insert the threaded rod into the fancy cap as shown here. Pull the threaded rod down so that it's just above the top of the top washer in that stack, as shown here, and hold it securely at that level as you lift the brass tubing off to the side so that you can manage it. Slide the cap over the brass tubing so that the threaded rod lines up with the hole. Turn it past the hole and then press that threaded rod up against the outside of that tubing so that the washers cannot fall out. At this point, the washers are above the brass tubing inside the cap where they should be. Now you can thread the threaded rod into the spider on the post, line up all of your tinks, set them down over the rods for the tinks. Now assemble your cannonball, beginning with your neck, your dish, and the steel plate with the welded nut threaded on just a little ways. Use the pie cutout in the steel plate to insert it inside the cannonball as shown. Line the cannonball up with the dish and the dish with the neck, and then spin clockwise to tighten. Don't over tighten, just tight enough to secure it. And that should do it.